The rain streaked down the windows of my modest Brooklyn apartment, blurring the city lights into a watercolor haze. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the bank statement on my laptop screen. $92,341.17. Once a symbol of stability, it was now a hollow shell, drained to a pitiful remnant after I'd poured everything, every last dime, into saving my husband's family from financial ruin. $92,000 gone just like that, to erase a debt that wasn't even mine. But it wasn't the money that carved a pit in my stomach that night. It was the words that followed, sharp as a blade, delivered with a smirk that still haunted me. "We never liked you anyway." My mother-in-law, Margaret Hensley, had said it with such casual venom, her lips curling as if she'd been waiting years to let it slip. My husband, Daniel, stood there, his broad shoulders slumping as he announced he was leaving us barely a week after I'd handed over the check that saved his family's crumbling empire. He didn't even look me in the eye as he packed his suitcase, muttering about needing space and a fresh start. I'd watched his retreating back disappear through the door, my world collapsing in slow motion, and Margaret's parting shot echoing in my skull like a gunshot. That was 6 months ago. October 12, 2024. The day I became a ghost in my own life. But tonight, April 4, 2025, something shifted. The rain tapped a relentless rhythm against the glass, mirroring the pulse of rage building inside me. They thought they'd won. They thought they could use me, bleed me dry, and toss me aside like trash. They had no idea what I was capable of. As I closed my laptop, a plan began to take shape, dark, glittering thing born from the ashes of my betrayal. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. I met Daniel Hensley 7 years ago in a crowded Manhattan bookstore. I was a 28-year-old high school English teacher, arms full of novels for my next unit, when I tripped over a display of hardcovers. Books scattered across the floor, and there he was, tall, with tousled dark hair and hazel eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He knelt to help me, his voice warm as he teased, "You sure know how to make an entrance." I laughed, flustered, and by the time we'd stacked the last book, he'd asked me for coffee. Felt like fate. Our romance unfolded like a dream. Coffee turned into dinners, then weekends exploring the city, lazy picnics in Central Park, stolen kisses under the Brooklyn Bridge. Daniel worked in real estate, ambitious but grounded, or so I thought. 2 years later, he proposed on a crisp autumn evening in the same park where we'd had our first date. He dropped to one knee, the diamond glinting in the fading light, and I said yes without a second thought. I thought I'd found my forever. The wedding was intimate, held in a rustic barn upstate. His family, the Hensleys, were there, a tight-knit clan of old money and sharper edges. Margaret, his mother, was a statuesque woman with silver-streaked hair and a smile that never reached her eyes. She hugged me stiffly, whispering, "Welcome to the family, darling," in a tone that felt more like a warning than a blessing. His father, Victor, was a gruff ex-lawyer turned investor, all booming voice and firm handshakes. And then there was Claire, Daniel's younger sister, a waifish artist with a quiet disdain I couldn't quite place. They seemed welcoming enough, if distant, and I brushed off the unease. I was too happy to care. The first few years of our marriage were golden. We rented a cozy apartment in Brooklyn, dreaming of a house in the suburbs one day, maybe kids. I taught Shakespeare in Austin to restless teens while Daniel climbed the ladder at his firm. Money was tight. New York isn't kind to dreamers, but we made it work. Until the cracks started showing. It began with small arguments about bills, then bigger ones about his late nights at the office. Daniel's charm dulled under the weight of stress, his smiles replaced by furrowed brows. I chalked it up to the grind of city life, believing we'd pull through. Then came the night that shattered everything. It was a humid July evening, the kind where the air clings like damp cotton. Daniel stumbled home past midnight, his tie askew, his face pale. "Lydia," he said, my name a whisper, "I need to tell you something." My stomach dropped before he even spoke. He sat me down, hands trembling, and spilled the truth. His family was drowning in debt. $92,000 worth, accrued from bad investments, a failed condo project, and Victor's gambling habit. They were facing lawsuits, foreclosure, ruin. "If we don't help them," he said, eyes pleading, "they'll lose everything." I stared at him, the numbers spinning in my head. That was our savings, our down payment, our future. But he looked so broken, so desperate, and I loved him. Okay, I said, squeezing his hand. We'll figure it out. The next 4 months were hell. We drained our joint account, took out a loan against the apartment, sold my grandmother's pearl necklace, the one heirloom I had left. I picked up night classes, tutoring rich kids who didn't care about Dickens, while Daniel worked overtime. We barely saw each other, our marriage reduced to exhausted nods over takeout. But I told myself it was temporary. We were saving his family, proving our strength. The day we wired the final payment, I felt a fragile relief. It was done. They were safe. I expected gratitude, maybe a tearful thank you from Margaret, a gruff nod from Victor. Instead, I got silence. Daniel avoided my questions about his family's reaction, brushing it off with, "They're proud, Lydia. Give them time." I waited, but the calls never came. The unease grew, a splinter under my skin. Then came October 12th. I was chopping vegetables for a meager dinner when Daniel walked in, his face a mask of resolve. "Lydia, we need to talk." My knife stilled. "I'm leaving," he said, voice flat. The money, the pressurites too much. I can't do it anymore." I blinked, the room tilting. "What about us?" I stammered. "We did this together. For your family." He shook his head, already halfway to the door. "There is no us anymore. I'm sorry." I followed him, numb as he packed a bag. "Wait," I said, grasping at straws. "The debt, what about them?" He paused, hand on the knob, and for a split second I saw guilt flicker in his eyes. "They'll be fine," he muttered. "Talk to Mom." Then he was gone. Reeling, I dialed Margaret. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice cool as ice. "Margaret, it's Lydia. Daniel just left, said to talk to you about the debt we paid off." Pause, then a low, mocking laugh. "Oh, Lydia, you poor thing. Did you really think that money bought you a seat at our table? We never liked you anyway. Daniel's finally free of you." The line went dead. I dropped the phone, her words slicing through me. "We never liked you anyway. All those years, smiles, hugs, family dinners, an act. They'd used me, and now they were done with me." I sank to the floor, the weight of it crushing me. $92,000. My marriage. My trust. Gone. For weeks I drifted in a fog of grief and disbelief. Friends called, but I let the voicemails pile up. The apartment felt like a tomb, every corner echoing with memories of Daniel. I stopped teaching, taking a leave of absence, and lived off the scraps of our savings. But beneath the pain, something else simmered, anger, raw and unrelenting. By April, it had hardened into resolve. I started small, piecing together what had happened. Logging into our old joint account, Daniel hadn't bothered to change the password. I traced the transactions. Thousands funneled to his personal account, labeled vaguely as consulting fees or family expenses. The final $92,000 transfer hit 2 days before he left. They'd planned it. Played me for a fool. I dug deeper, scouring public records, news archives, anything I could find on the Hensleys. Victor's failed condo deal had been shadier than Daniel let on. Lawsuits hinted at embezzlement, but he'd dodged charges. Margaret's charity, Hensley Hope, claimed to aid underprivileged kids, but its tax filings were suspiciously thin. Claire's art career? Funded by mysterious patrons tied to Victor's shell companies. The more I uncovered, the uglier it got. They weren't just ungrateful. They were corrupt. And I'd bankrolled their survival. I needed more than scraps, though. I needed proof, something to hit them where it hurt. That's when I called Ethan Carter, an old college buddy turned private investigator. Over coffee in a dingy diner, I laid out the basics, keeping it vague. My ex's family had screwed me over, and I wanted dirt. Ethan raised an eyebrow, his sharp blue eyes sizing me up. "This is heavy, Lydia. If they're as dirty as you think, it could get messy." "You sure?" "I'm sure," I said, voice steady. "I just want the truth." He nodded. "All right. I'll poke around. But watch yourself, these types don't play nice when cornered." While Ethan worked, I transformed. Lydia Hensley, the trusting wife, was dead. In her place, I built Evelyn Brooks, sleek, confident, untouchable. I dyed my mousy brown hair a deep auburn, traded my cardigans for tailored blazers, and practiced a clipped, assertive tone in the mirror. Evelyn was a consultant with a vague but impressive resume, A woman who belonged in boardrooms and gala halls. I used my last $5,000 to fund the facade, new clothes, a burner phone, a P.O. box. If I was going to take them down, I needed to play their game. Ethan came through a month later, sliding a thick envelope across the table at our next meetup. "You were right," he said, voice low. "The Hensleys are filthy. Tax evasion, money laundering through that charity, even a whisper of blackmail to keep creditors quiet. And get this, Victor's brother, Paul, died in a boating accident 10 years ago, right when their finances tanked. Cops ruled it accidental, but the timing's suspect." I flipped through the files, bank statements, emails, a grainy photo of Victor with a known fixer. My pulse raced. "This is good," I said. "But I need more. Something to bury them." Ethan frowned. "Lydia Evelyn, whatever you're walking a tightrope. If they trace this back to you." "They won't," I cut in. "Not yet." I spent nights poring over Ethan's findings, cross-referencing with my own research. The Hensleys weren't just greedy, they were predators, preying on trust, loyalty, anyone they could squeeze dry. Paul's death gnawed at me. Had they killed him for his share of the inheritance? The thought chilled me, but it fueled me too. I started with their weakest link, Claire. She'd always been the odd one out, resentful of Daniel's golden boy status. Posing as Evelyn Brooks, I friended her on Instagram under a fake account, a gallery owner interested in her abstract paintings. I flattered her, asked about her process, her family's support. She bit, venting about Margaret's control and Victor's favoritism. "They think I'm a hobbyist," she typed late one night. "But I know things they'd kill to keep quiet." "Like what?" I pressed, heart pounding. A pause, then. "Let's just say the charity's not what it seems. And Dad's got blood on his hands." Jackpot. I screenshot everything, filing it away. Claire didn't know she just handed me a loaded gun. Next, I targeted their finances. Using Evelyn's persona, I infiltrated their social circles, charity galas, investor meetups, rubbing elbows with the elite. I dropped hints about Hensley Hope's irregularities, planted rumors about Victor's instability. Whispers spread like wildfire. Investors grew skittish, pulling funds from Hensley-backed projects. Their stock dipped 5%, then 10%. I watched it unfold from my laptop, a predator circling its prey. But I needed a knockout blow. That came when Ethan uncovered an offshore account in the Caymans, tied to Victor through a shell company. $80 million, siphoned from failed deals and donations. The paper trail was damning: names, dates, transactions. Enough to spark a federal investigation. I leaked it to Nina Patel, a hungry journalist I'd met at a gala. Over lunch, I slid her a USB drive as Evelyn Brooks. "Anonymous source," I said. "Check it out." Her eyes lit up. "If this is real, it's a career maker." "It's real," I assured her. "Run it." The story hit on a rainy Tuesday. Hensley family implicated in multimillion-dollar fraud scheme, front page news. Social media erupted, hashtags trending. Hensley scam, justice now. The FBI raided their offices within days. Agents carting out boxes while Margaret screamed at reporters from her doorstep. Daniel's face flashed on CNN, haggard and unshaven. A far cry from the man I'd loved. I watched from my apartment, a glass of wine in hand, as their empire crumbled. Triumph surged through me, but it was laced with something bitter. Was this enough? Then came the call. A blocked number late at night. "You think you're clever," Daniel hissed, voice slurring with whiskey. "I know it's you, Lydia. You're destroying us." I kept my tone icy. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Who's this?" "Don't bullshit me," he shouted. "What do you want?" "Money. You're fucking $92,000 back." I laughed, cold and sharp. "Oh, Daniel, this was never about money. It's about you thinking you could break me and walk away. You're learning now you were wrong." "Stop this," he pleaded, desperation creeping in. "We can fix it. Please." "Too late," I said and hung up. The next morning, Ethan warned me. "They're digging into Evelyn Brooks. Hiring PIs, lawyers. Be careful." I smirked. Let them dig. Evelyn's a ghost. But the game wasn't over. At a Hensley Hope gala, ironic, given the headlines, I faced Margaret as Evelyn. She cornered me near the bar, her diamond necklace glinting like a noose. You look familiar, she said, eyes narrowing. Have we met? I smiled all teeth. Evelyn Brooks. New to the scene. I've heard so much about your family's ventures. Her face paled, but she recovered. Enjoy the party, Miss Brooks. She walked away, but I saw the tremor in her hands. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. Victor's sister, Diana Hensley, emerged from obscurity. Exiled decades ago after a falling out, she'd been biding her time in Miami, nursing a grudge. She went public, corroborating the fraud claims and hinting at darker secrets: murder, coercion, a family built on bones. The feds ate it up, and suddenly my chessboard had a new player. I met Diana at a discreet hotel bar, posing as Evelyn, a concerned investor. She was wiry, sharp-eyed with a smoker's rasp. I've watched you, she said, swirling her gin. Whoever's tearing them apart, it's surgical. You're good. I played coy. The Hensleys made enemies. I'm just here to talk business. She laughed. Sure. But I'm not here to play nice. I want them gone, and I want what's left. A chill ran through me. Diana wasn't an ally. She was a vulture, circling the carcass I'd created. If she took control, my revenge would be for nothing. That night, another shock. A text from an unknown number. I know who you are, Evelyn. Old Hensley Warehouse, midnight. Alone. Against Ethan's protests, I went, armed with a recorder and a can of mace. The warehouse loomed in the dark, a relic of their past glory. A figure stepped forward. Margaret. Sarah Lydia Hensley, she said, voice cutting through the silence. Or Evelyn Brooks. Clever girl. I froze, then straightened. What do you want? She stepped closer, her face gaunt in the moonlight. To offer you a deal. I've hated them longer than you have. Victor, Daniel, they used me to. Join me, and we finish them together. I stared, mind spinning. Margaret, the Ice Queen, a victim? Why should I trust you? Because I have something you don't, she said. A ledger, every bribe, every body they've buried. Paul wasn't an accident. Victor pushed him overboard. I've got proof. The air thickened. An alliance with Margaret could end this faster, harder. But it meant dancing with the devil. All right, I said. But my rules. She nodded. Deal. 3 days later, we stormed a secret Hensley board meeting. Margaret got us in. I brought the evidence. The room, Victor, Daniel, Claire, suits froze as we entered. I slammed the ledger and my files on the table. Game's up, I said. Fraud, murdery done. Victor roared. You traitorous bitch. At Margaret. Daniel lunged at me, but security tipped off by Ethan burst in, FBI in tow. You're under arrest, an agent barked. As they were cuffed, Daniel's eyes met mine, broken, defeated. Lydia. You chose this, I said, turning away. The aftermath was chaos. Trials headlines, the Hensley name reduced to rubble. I wrote a book with Nina, Empire of Ashes, and founded the Lydia Brooks Foundation to help fraud victims. Slowly, I shed Evelyn, reclaiming Lydia, not the naive wife, but a woman forged in fire. At a foundation gala a year later, I stood on stage, the crowd cheering. Margaret was there, a shadow in the back, her nod a silent salute. I'd won. But more than that, I'd rebuilt. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, my name is Lydia Brooks. Once I sought revenge. Now I seek justice for all of us. The applause roared, and for the first time I felt whole.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.